A desperate woman's $100,000 deal with a millionaire turns into an unexpected love story. Before we start today's story, comment below where you're watching from and hit subscribe if you haven't already. You won't want to miss what's next. It was a busy morning at a small coffee shop called Corner Cup. People were hurrying to get their coffee before work. The shop smelled like warm bread and roasted coffee beans. A tall man named Kalen Vance walked inside. His shiny black shoes made soft click sounds on the wooden floor. Kalen was 35 years old and very, very rich. He owned a tall building, many sports cars, and a big house that looked over Central Park. He even owned a company that made billions of dollars. But even with all that, he felt bored and empty inside. "Good morning, Mr. Vance," said a young girl behind the counter. She looked excited to see him. Before Kalen could answer, another voice came from behind the counter. It was calm but strong. "I'll take this order, Zara," the woman said. Kalen looked up. The woman wasn't smiling or trying to impress him. Her name tag said Elara. She had dark brown skin, her curly hair was tied in a neat bun, and her uniform looked old but very clean. Her eyes were full of pride. "What can I get you?" she asked. Kalen gave a small smile. "Double espresso. Extra hot," he said, taking out his shiny platinum card. "That will be $4.50, Elara said. Kalen looked surprised. "Only $4.50? I thought this place charges $5. "Senior discount," Elara said with a straight face. "You qualify, right? You look at least 65. The people waiting in line laughed softly. Kalen's face turned red. No one ever spoke to him like that. "I'm 35, he said. "Well," Elara said, "bitterness makes you look older." She didn't laugh. She just made his coffee. When she handed him his drink, he noticed her hands. They were rough from work, but her nails were clean and neat. "Have a nice day," she said, turning to the next customer. "Wait," Kalen said. He took out a $100 bill. "Keep the change." Elara looked at it and shook her head. "We share tips here, and we don't take bills over 20. House rules." Then she turned away. Kalen stood there, holding the bill, feeling foolish. For the first time in years, someone had treated him like a normal person. That afternoon, Kalen called his assistant. "Corbin, find everything you can about a woman named Elara from Corner Cup Coffee," he said, "and tell my lawyer I want to buy that coffee shop." "But sir," Corbin said, "you have a board meeting in 10 minutes. "I don't care," Kalen replied and hung up. Later that day, Corbin brought him a file. "Her full name is Elara Moss," Corbin said. "She works 2 jobs, one here at the coffee shop and one at St. Mary's Hospital. Both her parents are sick and in the hospital. Her father has heart problems and her mother has cancer. She owes rent and hospital bills. She's behind 3 months on rent and might lose her home." Kalen looked at her picture. Even though it was blurry, he could see her pride. "How much money would fix everything?" Kalen asked. "About $100,000, Corbin said. Kalen smiled. "Perfect." That night, in his big empty home, Kalen couldn't stop thinking about Elara. She had said no to his money. No one ever said no to him. Tomorrow, he thought, he would show her that everything and everyone had a price. The next morning, Kalen went back to the coffee shop. This time, he wore jeans and a black sweater instead of his fancy suit. He wanted Elara to feel comfortable. When she saw him, she frowned. "Back again? Want another senior discount?" she asked. "I'm here to make you an offer," he said quietly. The shop was almost empty. "I know about your parents," Kalen said. "Their hospital bills." Elara froze. "You had no right to look into my life." "I have every right," Kalen said. "I own this building now. I bought the whole coffee shop this morning." Elara's eyes went wide. "What do you want from me?" "I want to help," Kalen said, putting an envelope on the counter. "There's $100,000 in here, enough to pay your parents' bills and your rent." "What's the catch?" Elara asked. Kalen leaned closer. "Have dinner with me. Just one night." Slap! Elara's hand hit his cheek hard. "I am not for sale," she shouted. Everyone has a price, Kalen said, touching his red cheek. You just haven't found yours yet. Get out, Alara said, before I call the police. Kalen left the envelope on the counter. Keep it. Think about it. Your father's being discharged tomorrow, right? Where will he go? He walked out, leaving Alara shaking with anger and fear. That night, Alara sat at the hospital between her parents' beds. Her father, Alistair, was sleeping. Her mother, Florence, looked weak but smiled softly. You look tired, baby, her mother said. You're working too hard. I'm fine, Mama, Alara said, holding her hand. A nurse came in. Mrs. Moss, can I speak with you? In the hallway, the nurse looked sad. I'm sorry, but the hospital can't keep your father here without payment. He'll be sent home tomorrow. Alara felt dizzy. Please, just a few more days, she begged. I'm sorry, the nurse said. It's out of my hands. Alara walked back to the room. Her parents looked so weak. They had worked all their lives to raise her right, to be proud, kind, and honest. And now she couldn't even save them. She took out Kalen's business card. Her hands shook as she dialed his number. I knew you'd call, Kalen said. If I do this, Alara said, her voice trembling, the money goes straight to the hospital and my landlord, and no one ever finds out. Done, Kalen said. Dinner tomorrow at 8. I'll send a car. When Alara hung up, she ran to the bathroom and threw up. She cried as she looked at herself in the mirror. I'm sorry, Mama, she whispered. The next night, a black car picked her up. Inside was a red dress, beautiful and expensive. Alara put it on and touched her cross necklace, the one her mother gave her. Please forgive me, she said softly. When the car stopped, Kalen was waiting outside a fancy restaurant. You look beautiful, he said, holding out his arm. Let's just get this over with, Alara replied. Inside, the room was quiet, with a lovely view of the city. Champagne sat on the table. Alara didn't touch it. The papers, she said. Show them to me. Kalen gave her a folder. It said that the money would go straight to the hospital and her landlord. Alara read every line carefully, like her father had taught her. Then she saw the signature line. Her hand shook. She remembered her father's words. Your dignity is priceless, baby girl. Never sell it. She dropped the pen and started crying. I can't do this, she whispered. Her daddy taught her better than this. For the first time, Kalen looked confused. He really saw her, not as someone poor, but as a brave daughter who loved her parents deeply. You won't do it? He asked quietly, even though it would fix everything? Alara stood up. Some things aren't meant to be bought, Mr. Vance. Some things are priceless. She left the restaurant crying. Outside, the cool air touched her face as tears fell down her cheeks. She didn't know how she would save her parents now, but at least she still had her pride. That night, Kalen couldn't sleep. He kept hearing Alara's words. Some things are priceless. He looked at himself in the mirror. What kind of man have I become? He whispered. The next morning, Kalen went to the hospital. He waited near the back door where Alara usually came in for her evening shift. When she arrived, he stepped out. Alara, wait, he said. She turned around, her eyes full of anger. Leave me alone, Mr. Vance. Haven't you done enough? I'm sorry, he said. What I did was wrong. Let me help. No strings attached. I don't believe you, so she said. Please, he said. Your father. Don't talk about my father, Alara shouted. Yes, I'm desperate, but I'd rather lose everything than take help from someone like you. Then she turned and went inside. Kalen stood there alone, watching her walk away. For the first time, he didn't feel angry. He felt something new, ashamed. Alara tried to focus on her work, but her hands were shaking. She had just finished cleaning a hospital room when her supervisor called her into the office. Alara, her supervisor said kindly, there's been some news about your parents' medical bills. They've been paid. Alara blinked in surprise. What? How? An anonymous person paid everything, her supervisor said. Past bills, future treatments, even a private room for both your parents. Alara felt her knees grow weak. She already knew who had done it. Kalen Vance, the rich man who had tried to buy her help before. She ran to her parents' room. The nurses were moving them into a big, comfortable private suite. Her father was awake and looked better than he had in weeks. "Baby girl," he said, smiling and holding her hand. "Did you see this room? They said we can stay here as long as we need." Alara had tears in her eyes. "Daddy, I need to tell you something." She told them everything. How Kaylin had offered her money, how she almost said yes, and how she had finally walked away. Her mother began to cry, and her father's face grew dark with anger. "You did the right thing, baby," he said. "But this man, he has no right to play games with our lives." "Alistair," her mother said softly, "maybe he's trying to make things right." Alara left her parents as they gently argued about it. She went back to work, but she started to notice changes all around the hospital. There were new machines in the halls, new toys for the children, and new comfy chairs in the waiting room. Kaylin's money was changing everything. A week later, Alara still worked both her jobs, the hospital and the coffee shop called Corner Cup, even though she didn't really need to anymore. She didn't trust Kaylin's kindness to last. One morning, when she arrived at the coffee shop, she stopped in surprise. Kaylin was there, mopping the floor. "What are you doing?" she asked. He looked up. He was wearing jeans and a plain t-shirt instead of his fancy suits. "Learning how to work," he said with a small smile. "I've never done it before." "Is this a joke?" Alara asked, crossing her arms. "No joke," he said. "I've been thinking about what you said, that some things can't be bought. I've spent my whole life thinking I could buy anything I wanted, but you showed me I was wrong." "So you think mopping floors will make up for what you did?" Alara asked. "No," Kaylin said quietly. "Nothing can make up for that, but I have to start somewhere." He went back to mopping, leaving streaks everywhere. "Oh, and I gave this shop to the workers yesterday. It's theirs now. You're one of the owners, Alara." Alara stared at him. "Why are you doing this?" "Because," he said softly, "for the first time in my life, I met someone who makes me want to be better." Alara shook her head but smiled a little. "You're terrible at this," she said, taking the mop. "Here, let me show you how it's done." Kaylin smiled back, really smiled, not his usual proud grin, but a true, warm smile. That morning, as they mopped the floor together, something gentle grew between them. It wasn't forgiveness yet, but it was a start. Soon, everyone heard about Kaylin Vance, the billionaire, working in a small coffee shop. Reporters came, taking pictures and shouting questions. "Kaylin, you don't have to be here," Alara told him. "This can't be good for your business." "My business is fine," he said. "I'm more worried about you." Just then, the door opened, and a tall, elegant woman walked in, her high heels clicking on the floor. Alara recognized her at once. Serafina Vance, Kaylin's mother. "Mother," Kaylin said, standing straight. "What are you doing here?" Serafina looked around the shop with a frown. "Darling, this has gone far enough. The board is upset. Your sister Genevieve is getting calls. This is embarrassing." "I'm not embarrassed," Kaylin said. "Well, you should be," Serafina snapped. Then she turned to Alara. "How much?" Alara blinked. "Excuse me? How much money to make you go away?" Kaylin stepped between them. "Mother, stop!" "Don't be silly, Kaylin," Serafina said coldly. "I've seen this before. Women like her always want one thing, money. So let's be quick." $1 million to leave my son alone. Alara felt like she had been slapped. "Mrs. Vance, I don't want your money." $2 million then, Serafina said, pulling out her checkbook. "Mother," Kaylin shouted. "Get out! Now!" Serafina glared at him. "You're making a mistake. This woman is beneath you. Think of our family name." "I am thinking of it," Kaylin said, "and for the first time, I'm ashamed of it." Serafina left in anger. The shop was silent, except for the coffee machine hissing. Alara's hands trembled as she made drinks. "Is that what you really think of me?" she asked softly. "That I'm beneath you?" "No," Kaylin said. "If anything, I'm trying to reach your level." Later that day, Alara visited her parents. Her father was reading a newspaper with a picture of Kaylin mopping the floor. "Baby girl," he said, "we need to talk about this man." Daddy, it's not what you think, Ilara said. Isn't it? Her father said. First he tries to buy you, then he pays our bills, and now he's following you like a lost puppy. What's his game? I don't think it's a game anymore, Ilara said softly. I think he's really trying to change. Men like him don't change, her father said. They just find new ways to get what they want. Alistair, her mother said, maybe we should give him a chance. Look what he's done for the hospital. That's what worries me, her father said. He's trying to buy his way into our lives. This isn't about money anymore, Ilara said, feeling sure. You should see him, Daddy. He gets up before sunrise to help open the shop. He's getting calluses on his hands. Yesterday, he helped old Mrs. Mara Johnson with her physical therapy for 3 hours, just because she needed help. Her father's face softened. You care about him, he said quietly. Ilara nodded. I'm starting to, and it scares me. That evening, when Ilara finished her hospital shift, she found Kalen waiting in the parking lot again. But this time, he was wearing janitor's scrubs splattered with cleaning soap. What are you doing here? She asked. I've been volunteering in the janitorial department, he said. 3 days a week. I wanted to understand your world better. Ilara smiled softly. You don't have to do this. I know, he said. I want to. Ilara, I spent my whole life thinking I was better because I had money. But working here, seeing what you do every day, it's changed me. These people have more dignity in one finger than I had in my whole body. He took a step closer. I know I can't undo what I did, but I want to become someone who deserves to know you. Not because I want to buy you, but because you make me want to be better. Before Ilara could answer, her phone buzzed. It was a text from her friend Zara at the coffee shop. Turn on the news, now. Ilara opened her phone. Her heart sank. The headline said, Vance family scandal, billionaire's obsession with coffee shop worker exposed. The article told everything. Kalen's offer, the hospital bills, even private details about her parents. At the bottom was a quote from Serafina Vance. This woman has been trying to trap my son. She's a gold digger with a sad story. Ilara looked up, tears in her eyes. Your mother did this. I'll fix it, Kalen said quickly. I'll make a statement. No, Ilara said. You can't fix everything with power and money, Kalen. Some things just break. She turned and walked away as reporters' cameras flashed in the dark. The next few days were terrible. Reporters waited outside her building, the hospital, and the coffee shop. On TV, people said mean things. She's after his money, one person said. He's having a midlife crisis, another laughed. Sources say she tried to blackmail him, said a third. Ilara stopped watching the news. She took time off from the coffee shop, but kept her hospital job. Helping patients made her feel calm. One evening, as she changed the sheets in room 304, she heard angry voices in the hallway. What do you mean you're selling your shares? It was Kalen. Ilara peeked out. Kalen stood in front of his sister Genevieve. I'm sorry, Genevieve said, but Mother's right. The company's stock is falling. The board wants to remove you as CEO. Then let them, Kalen said. I don't care anymore. Don't say that, Genevieve said. This company is your life. No, Kalen said, shaking his head. It was my prison. For the first time, I can see clearly. I used to think being rich made me better, but watching Ilara, seeing how she helps people, that's worth more than all my money. Ilara's heart jumped. He had been watching her. You're in love with her? Genevieve said, shocked. Yes, Kalen said simply, and I don't deserve her. Ilara gasped and bumped into a cart, making a loud noise. Supplies fell everywhere. Kalen and Genevieve rushed over. Ilara, Kalen said, kneeling to help her. Are you okay? I'm fine, she said, looking away. Genevieve sighed. Maybe it's good we ran into you. There's something you need to know. Mother is planning something bad. She wants to tell the police that you tricked Kalen into paying your parents' bills. She's building a fraud case. She can't do that, Kalen said angrily. I made those payments. It doesn't matter, Ilara said sadly. The damage is already done. My reputation is ruined. Your mother wants to send me to jail. I won't let that happen, Kaylin said. You can't stop it, Alara said quietly. Your mother was right about one thing. I am beneath you. Not because of money, but because I was foolish enough to think this could work. She turned to go, but Kaylin gently took her arm. Yesterday, he said softly, I saw you sit with Mr. Rodriguez for hours because his family couldn't visit. You read stories to the children in pediatrics. You helped Mrs. Thompson write a letter because her hands shook too much. You think that makes you beneath me? Alara's eyes filled with tears. Stop. No, I won't stop, Kaylin said. You have more kindness and dignity in one day than my whole family has had in generations. You're not beneath me, Alara. I'm the one who needs to rise to your level. Genevieve cleared her throat. Kaylin, the board meeting starts in 20 minutes. They're voting on whether to keep you as CEO. I'm not going, Kaylin said, still looking at Alara. What? You'll lose everything, Genevieve said. Let them vote, Kaylin said. I've already made my decision. Kaylin pulled out his phone and called Corbin. Arrange a press conference in front of the hospital right now, he said. An hour later, Alara stood by the hospital window, watching Kaylin talk to a huge crowd of reporters. The place was full of flashing cameras and loud voices. My name is Kaylin Vance, he said loudly. And I've been living a lie. I used to think being rich made me special. I thought everyone and everything could be bought with money. But then I met someone who showed me I was wrong. He looked up at the hospital window. Alara knew he couldn't see her, but she still felt like he was looking right at her. I tried to buy her love, Kaylin went on. I offered her money when she needed help. But she said no. She taught me what real dignity means. Yes, I paid her parents' hospital bills. Yes, I've been working at a coffee shop and helping out here at the hospital. And yes, I'm in love with her. The reporters started shouting questions, but Keelan raised his voice. This isn't about her, he said. It's about me. From today, I'm stepping down as CEO of Vance Tech. I'm also starting a charity called the Moss Family Foundation, named after Alara's parents. This charity will help families who can't pay their medical bills. I'm giving half my money to start it. Alara's phone rang. It was her father. Baby girl, he said, are you watching this? Yes, Daddy, she said softly. Your mother's crying, he told her. She says maybe we're wrong about him. Alara kept watching the screen. Kaylin looked so different now, not like the proud, rich man she had first met. He looked like someone who finally understood what life was really about. Maybe we were all wrong about him, Alara whispered. In her big New York penthouse, Serafina Vance, Kaylin's mother, was watching the same press conference. Her face was cold and angry. Her pretty nails dug into her leather chair as she watched Kaylin give away half of his fortune. This is unacceptable, she said into her phone. I want everything about that girl investigated. Find every secret from her past. Nobody is that perfect. Find something we can use. At the hospital cafeteria, Alara was having lunch with her parents. They were finally allowed to eat together after their treatments. The TV was showing Kaylin's speech again. He gave up his company, her father said, shaking his head, for you. I never asked him to do that, Alara said, pushing her food around. Maybe that's why he did it, her mother said softly, holding her hand. When your father and I met, his family didn't like me either. They thought a librarian wasn't good enough for him. That was different, Mama, Alara said quietly. Her father smiled. Love is love, baby girl. It doesn't care if you're rich or poor. It hits your heart the same way. Before Alara could answer, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Zara at the coffee shop. You need to see this now. Alara opened the news on her phone and froze. There was an old picture of her in handcuffs. The headline said, Vance's new love has a criminal past. Oh no, she whispered. Her father took the phone, reading the article. His face grew dark. They're twisting everything, he said angrily. The story told about when Alara was 19. Her best friend Juno had been caught shoplifting while pregnant, and Alara had taken the blame so Juno wouldn't go to jail. The charges had been dropped, but Serafina's lawyers had found the old sealed record. The article even quoted Serafina, saying Alara had lied to get close to Kalen. Alara felt sick. I have to find Kalen before he sees this. Just then, Kalen burst into the cafeteria. His tie was loose and his hair was messy. Alara, he said out of breath, I just saw the article. Are you okay? You're not angry? She asked softly. Angry? Why would I be? Kalen said, walking closer. Because I never told you about it. I don't care about that, he said, taking her hands. I care that my mother is trying to hurt you. Alara's father stood up. Sit down, son, he said. We should talk. Kalen sat beside Alara, still holding her hand. You love my daughter? Her father asked. Yes, sir, more than anything. Then you need to know she didn't do anything wrong. That arrest was because she helped a friend in trouble. That's who Alara is. She always helps others, even when it costs her. Kalen squeezed her hand. I know, that's why I love her. Just then, the cafeteria doors opened. Serafina Vance walked in with lawyers and bodyguards. Well, isn't this cozy? She said coldly. I'm suing you, Miss Moss, for fraud and defamation. My lawyers say you owe $50 million. Alara gasped. What? You made my son pay your family's bills and ruined our company's name, Serafina said. That's enough, Kalen shouted. If you sue her, I'll sue you back. I'll tell everyone you paid Alara to disappear and leaked sealed records. You wouldn't dare, Serafina hissed. She's the woman I love, Kalen said firmly. If you make me choose, you won't like my choice. People in the cafeteria started recording everything. Serafina saw the phones pointed at her and turned pale. This isn't over, she said, turning to Alara. You think you've won? Wait until you see what it means to be a Vance. The press will follow you everywhere. Every mistake you've ever made will be front-page news. Ask yourself, do you really think my son is worth it? Then she left. Alara felt dizzy. Everything was too much. I need some air, she said, running to the rooftop garden. Kalen followed. Alara, wait, don't let her get in your head. She's right, Alara said, tears in her eyes. My past is all over the news. People are calling me a gold digger. Your company is hurting. Your family is falling apart. I don't care about that, Kalen said. But I do, she cried. I was raised to stand on my own, but being with you means people will always think I want your money. Let them talk, Kalen said. We know the truth. Do we? Alara whispered. When we met, you thought I was beneath you. Now you've given up everything for me. That's not healthy. You're wrong, Kalen said softly. You showed me what really matters. Love. I need time, Alara said quietly. Please give me time to think. I'll wait, he said, taking a small paper coffee cup sleeve from his pocket. This is from where we met. You changed my life forever. He left her standing on the rooftop, holding the sleeve and wondering if love was enough to bridge their worlds. A week passed. Alara worked extra shifts to stay busy. Kalen didn't call, but sometimes she found fresh flowers in her parents' hospital room. One afternoon, Alara was cleaning the hospital's old records room when she found a file that had fallen behind a cabinet. The name on it said, Serafina Winters. That had been Serafina Vance's maiden name. She hesitated, but after everything Serafina had done, she opened it. What she read shocked her. The file said that 30 years ago, Serafina Winters had worked as a nurse's aide at St. Mary's Hospital. She had fallen in love with a rich patient named Percival Vance, Kalen's father. There was even a letter praising how caring Serafina had been. The woman who hates me was once like me, Alara whispered. Found it, didn't you? A voice said. Alara turned. It was Genevieve, Kalen's sister. I'm sorry, Alara said quickly. It's okay, Genevieve said gently. You found out Mother's secret. That's why she hates you, because you remind her of who she used to be. Does Kalen know? Alara asked. No, Genevieve said. Mother buried her past when she married Father. She changed everything, her accent, her clothes, her hair. Only I and her lawyers know. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm tired of all her lies, Genevieve said sadly. Her lawsuit isn't about you. It's about her fear that people will find out the truth. Suddenly, Alara's phone rang. It was her mother. She was crying. Baby, come quick. It's your father. Alara ran to his room, holding the file in her hands. Her mother was crying beside an empty bed. Where is he? Alara asked. They rushed him into emergency surgery. His heart, they said he might not make it. Alara and her mother waited for hours, praying. At midnight, the doctor came out looking serious. He needs a special procedure, he said, but it's experimental and not covered by insurance. It will cost $300,000. Alara felt weak. I can't afford that. I'll pay for it, said a voice behind them. Everyone turned. It was Serafina Vance. She still looked elegant but tired. Why would you do that? Alara asked. 30 years ago, I was you, Serafina said quietly. I was poor and working 2 jobs. I fell in love with a man everyone said was too rich for me. Alara's eyes widened. I saw that you found my file, Serafina said. That's why I came. I've spent my life pretending to be perfect. I forgot who I really was. Every day I tried to fit in, and I lost myself. She looked at Alara's mother. I'll pay for the surgery. No strings attached. Not for Alara, not for Kaylin, but because someone once gave me a chance at love. Now it's my turn. Just then, Kaylin ran into the hallway, out of breath. Alara, Zara called me about your dad. He stopped when he saw his mother. What are you doing here? He asked. Serafina looked at him sadly. It's time you knew the truth, darling, she said, about who I really am, and why I fought so hard against your happiness. It was quiet in the hospital waiting room. Only the soft beeping of machines could be heard. Serafina had just finished telling her story, and Alara watched Kaylin's face carefully. First, he looked shocked. Then he looked like he understood. And finally, there was kindness in his eyes. When Serafina stopped talking, Kaylin spoke gently. All these years, you've been ashamed of your past, Mother, he said. But your story doesn't make me think less of you. It makes me proud. Serafina tried to smile, but her eyes filled with tears. I was wrong about so many things, she whispered. About Alara, about love, about what really matters. Just then, the doctor came into the room. Mr. Moss is out of surgery, he said. The next 24 hours will be very important, but he's stable. Alara's mother began to cry with relief. Serafina walked over and took her hand. Come, Serafina said softly. I'll show you where to get decent coffee in this place. I've spent many nights here before. The 2 older women walked away together. Kaylin turned to Alara. I know you wanted time, he said, but I have to say something. He took her hands in his. Alara, I love you. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real. You're the most real thing in my world. Whatever happens with my mother, the company, or anything else, it doesn't matter if I don't have you. Alara looked at their joined hands. His were rough from work. Hers were strong from helping others. Your mother was right about one thing, Alara said softly. Love does cost something, but maybe the price isn't losing yourself. Maybe it's finding out who you really are. Then she leaned forward and kissed him for the first time. In that quiet hospital waiting room, with her father fighting for life and Kaylin's mother finally facing her past, Alara and Kaylin found the truth. Sometimes love doesn't fix the gap between 2 worlds. Sometimes it builds a brand new one. The next morning, the newspaper headline shouted, Vance family scandal deepens. Serafina Vance's humble beginnings revealed. Someone had told the press about Serafina's past. It wasn't me, Alara said quickly, sitting with Kaylin in his small new office above the Corner Cup Cafe. I would never do that. I know, Kaylin said. He frowned at the article. This has Lysander's fingerprints all over it. He wants to take control of the company while things are in chaos. Alara took a sip of coffee from a Corner Cup mug. Will this hurt your mother? Before Kaylin could answer, Genevieve walked in without knocking. Actually, she said, it might save us all. The company's stock is up 15%. People love the story about your mom starting from nothing. She's trending online as an inspiration. Surprisingly, Serafina handled everything differently than before. Instead of hiding, she went to visit Alara's father in the hospital. Everyone watched in amazement as the fancy Mrs. Vance sat for hours talking about her days as a nurse's aide. But not everyone was happy. Lysander Vance, Kalen's cousin and the company's chief financial officer, called an emergency meeting. His face was red with anger. "This is a disgrace," Lysander shouted. First, Kalen throws away his position for some cleaning lady. Then we find out Aunt Serafina used to be one too. The Vance name used to mean something. "It still does," Kalen said calmly. "It means we value people for who they are, not what they own." "You naive fool," Lysander sneered. "While you've been playing poor little rich boy, I found something about your girlfriend's friend, Juno, the one she protected years ago." Alara froze. Lysander pulled out a file. "Seems Juno didn't just shoplift once, she ran a whole scheme. And guess who helped her move the stolen goods?" "That's a lie," Alara cried, standing up. "Juno was pregnant and desperate. It was one time." Lysander tossed photos across the table. "Then explain these." The pictures showed a young Alara carrying boxes into a warehouse. In others, Juno was selling clothes with tags still on them. "I didn't know," Alara whispered. "Juno told me those were donations for a women's shelter." "Save it," Lysander said. "I've already sent this to the police. They're reopening the case. These are felony charges." "You can't do this," Kalen shouted, standing so fast that his chair fell over. "I already did," Lysander said coldly. "Your little romance is over. Alara's going to jail, and you're going to lose everything trying to save her." Kalen grabbed Lysander by the collar. "I'll destroy you." "Kalen, stop!" Alara cried, pulling him back. "This is what he wants. More scandal, more chaos." Serafina, who had been quiet until now, suddenly stood up. "Lysander, dear," she said coolly, "you forgot something." "Oh? What's that, Aunt Serafina?" "I wasn't just any nurse's aide. I worked in the hospital records room. I remember a certain nephew who came to me 20 years ago, begging me to make his DUI record disappear." Lysander's face turned white. "I wonder," Serafina said, "what the board would think about that, or about the gambling debts you paid with company money." "You're bluffing," Lysander muttered. "Try me," Serafina said, standing tall and proud. "I started at the bottom, but I learned every dirty secret in this family on my way up. Don't test me." Lysander stormed out, but everyone knew he wasn't done. That night, Alara met Juno at a small diner. Juno looked tired and sad. "I'm so sorry, Alara," she cried. "I never meant for you to get caught up in this. I was desperate back then. My baby was coming, and I had nothing." "Why didn't you tell me the truth?" Alara asked gently. "Because you were the only good thing in my life," Juno said, crying harder. "You helped me without asking for anything, and now look what I've done to you." Alara took her hand. "We'll figure this out, but no more secrets." Juno told her everything. The scheme had been bigger than Alara ever knew. Many people were involved, some powerful now. When Alara returned to the hospital, Kalen was waiting. "I heard everything," he said. "Juno called me. We have proof that Lysander was part of the stolen merchandise scheme. He was laundering money through it." "What?" Alara gasped. "That's why he's desperate to stop us," Kalen said. "If this comes out, he's finished." Alara felt scared. "Kalen, maybe your cousin is right. Maybe I should just end things before you lose everything." Kalen touched her lips softly. "Stop. Remember what you told me about dignity and standing up for what's right? Now it's my turn to stand up for you. Love, truth, and justice are worth fighting for." From her father's hospital room came laughter. Serafina was there again, telling stories to Alara's parents. The two families were growing closer, healing old wounds. When did you get so wise?" Alara asked. "I learned from the best," Kalen smiled. "Now let's go take down my cousin and prove your innocence." Alara looked at their reflection in the hospital window, the cleaning lady and the billionaire, both changed by love. Together, she said, taking his hand. But they didn't see Lysander watching from the shadows. His phone was to his ear. Yes, he whispered. Move for Moss with the plan. By tomorrow, the Vance family will never be the same. Um, the next morning, everything went wrong. Lysander's plan hit like a storm. First, Child Protective Services came to Juno's house, saying they might take her son because of her past. Then the hospital board called Alara's parents in about irregular medical care. Finally, police arrived at the Corner Cup Cafe with a search warrant. He's trying to destroy everything we love, Alara said as police searched the shop. Her employees huddled, scared. Kalen paced outside, making calls. My lawyers are working on it, he said, but Lysander used all his city connections. He stopped as a black SUV stopped suddenly. Genevieve jumped out. Kalen, it's Mother. Lysander called another board meeting. He has proof she changed hospital records years ago. He's threatening to have her arrested. Moments later, Serafina arrived, pale and shaking. He's taken everything, she said weakly. All my secrets. He's using them against me, against all of us. Alara looked around at the people who had become her family. Juno crying, her parents scared, Serafina broken, Kalen desperate. This has to stop, Alara said quietly. Everyone turned. Lysander's doing all this because of me, she said, because I represent everything he hates, poor people close to his rich family. So I'll make it easy. I'll confess to the theft. No! Kalen and Serafina shouted together. If I confess, Alara continued, then Juno keeps her son, my parents keep their care, and Lysander loses his power over us. And you'll go to jail, Kalen said, his voice breaking. No, there has to be another way. Zara, who had been silent, suddenly spoke. Maybe there is. Everyone looked at her. My old boss at the mall used to talk about Lysander coming late at night to the loading dock, she said. Juno gasped. That's where we dropped off the boxes. Serafina sat up straighter. Of course. Lysander wasn't just laundering money. He was running the whole thing, using Vance Tech to hide the profits. But we can't prove it, Genevieve said. Maybe we can, Zara replied. My ex-boyfriend worked in security. He used to complain about turning off certain cameras on specific nights. I bet he kept records. For the next hour, everyone worked together. Zara called her ex. Juno reached out to old friends. Serafina called her society contacts. Genevieve dug through years of company papers. Then Kalen got a message. He smiled for the first time that day. What is it? Alara asked. It's from Corbin, my old assistant, Kalen said. He kept records of Lysander's meetings, calls, and money transfers. Everything. Why would he do that? Alara asked. Because I treated him like a person, and Lysander didn't. Just then, Alara's father called from the hospital. Baby girl, turn on the news right now. They turned on the TV in the cafe. Lysander was giving a press conference. It's with great sadness that I must expose the criminal elements in our family, he said. Alara Moss is not the innocent victim she pretends to be. Suddenly, the feed cut off. When it came back, another press conference was showing at the mall loading dock. The city's district attorney was speaking. Following an anonymous tip and strong evidence, he said, we are announcing multiple arrests in a long-running money laundering and theft operation. Among those indicted is Lysander Vance, CFO of Vance Tech, believed to be the mastermind. The cafe exploded in cheers. People hugged and cried with joy. Juno hugged Alara tightly, crying with happiness. Genevieve and Serafina also hugged each other, all the years of sadness and worry finally gone. But Alara was looking at Kalen. He gave a small shrug. Corbin had lots of proof, Kalen said with a smile. Looks like being kind and fair really helps. It's not over yet, Serafina said seriously. Lysander won't give up without a fight. Just then, the TV in the coffee shop showed Lysander leaving Vance Tech. He was angry, pushing reporters away. His face looked red and wild. He's coming here, Genevieve said, pointing. Look at his face. He knows we stopped him. Alara looked around the coffee shop. She saw her workers, Juno and her son, Serafina and Genevieve, her parents watching on FaceTime from the hospital, and Kalen standing beside her. He had lost so much but still chose to help her. "Let him come," Alara said bravely. "We're done hiding. We're done being scared." Kalen took her hand and she held his tightly. They could hear police sirens in the distance. Lysander's car turned the corner fast. It screeched to a stop outside. The storm was coming. The door of the coffee shop burst open. Lysander Vance stormed in. His fancy suit was messy, and his hair was sticking out. His eyes looked wild. "You!" he shouted, pointing at Alara. "You ruined me. You and your greedy plans destroyed everything." "It's over, Lysander," Kalen said, stepping in front of Alara. "The police are coming." Lysander laughed, but it was an empty, scary laugh. "You think I worked for 20 years to let a cleaning lady and her poor family take me down?" he yelled. He pulled out a gun. Everyone gasped. Serafina's hand flew to her mouth. "Lysander, please think about what you're doing," she said softly. "Oh, I'm thinking clearly now," he said, waving the gun. "You all think you're so good with your love stories and your kindness. Let's see how that works when—" "Drop the gun, Mr. Vance," a voice shouted from the door. Everyone turned. Alara's father was standing there, weak but strong, with her mother holding him up. "Sir, please go back to the hospital," Alara begged. "No, baby girl," her father said, taking a slow step forward. "I've spent enough time lying in that bed while you fight for us." He looked at Lysander. "Young man, I was a teacher for 30 years. I've seen that look before. The look of someone who thinks they're better than everyone else, who thinks money makes them special." "Shut up!" Lysander shouted. His hand shook. "You don't know anything about me." "I know you're scared," Alara's father said gently. "You're scared that without your money and name, you're nothing. You thought my daughter was nothing too, but you were wrong." "Daddy, please," Alara cried, trying to move closer, but Kalen held her back. "My daughter taught me," her father went on, "that real worth isn't in money. It's in how you treat others, the lives you touch, and the love you share." While he spoke, Serafina quietly stepped closer to Lysander. She touched his arm. "He's right," she said softly. "I used to be like you, ashamed, always trying to fit into a rich world. But Alara showed me I was wrong. It's not about fitting into their world. It's about making our own, a world where kindness matters more than money." Genevieve nodded. "It's not about what you own, Lysander. It's about who you are." Lysander's hand trembled more. "You're all fools," he said shakily. "Love doesn't pay the bills. Love doesn't give you power." "No," Alara said calmly, "but it gives you something better. It gives you family." She looked around again. Her workers were standing together. Juno was holding her son close. Her parents leaned on each other, tired but proud. Serafina and Genevieve were no longer pretending to be someone else, and Kalen stood there beside her, the man who had given up everything but found something greater: love. "That's what you never understood, Lysander," Kalen said quietly. "Love's price isn't what you lose, it's what you gain." Police lights flashed through the window, red and blue filling the shop. "It's your choice, Lysander," Alara said softly. "Keep fighting alone or be part of something bigger than yourself." For a long moment, nobody moved. Then slowly, Lysander lowered the gun. The police came in and took him away. As they led him outside, Lysander looked back, confused. "I don't understand," he said weakly. "How did you all choose love over money, over power?" "Because," Serafina said, smiling gently, "some things are priceless." The next few weeks were busy. Lysander's arrest was all over the news. But so was their story, a story about people from different worlds coming together to stop a bad man. The board of Vance Tech was so impressed with Kalen and Genevieve that they asked them to come back as co-CEOs. Alara's parents were getting stronger every day. The hospital, touched by what happened, offered Alara a job to help patients who needed support, and the coffee shop was busier than ever. People came from all over to see the place where love beat greed. One quiet morning, before opening time, Alara found Kaylin mopping the floor. "You don't have to do that anymore," she said with a smile. "You're a CEO again." "I want to," Kaylin said. "It reminds me of how I changed and what really matters." Alara picked up another mop. "Your mother visited my parents again yesterday," she said. "They played cards for hours." She's happier now," Kaylin said. "She's free to be herself." They cleaned in peaceful silence until the floor shone. Then Kaylin put the mops aside and took Alara's hands. "I've been thinking," he said gently, "about everything we've learned, about the true price of love." "And what is it?" Alara asked softly. "Courage," he said. "The courage to be yourself, to trust someone with your heart, to fight for what's right." Then he went down on one knee. "Alara Moss," he said, "you taught me love isn't something you buy. It's a gift. Will you give me the gift of being my wife?" The ring he held wasn't fancy or shiny. It was his grandmother's ring. Serafina had given it to him, saying it reminded her of her simple, kind days as a nurse. Alara looked at the little ring and at the man she loved. He was no longer proud or selfish. He had learned what really mattered. "Yes," she whispered, tears in her eyes. 1,000 times yes. The morning sun shone through the windows as they kissed. Outside, the city was waking up. Their families would soon come for breakfast, a new happy tradition they had started together. Life wasn't perfect, but it was real. Love had cost them many things: pride, fear, and pretending, but it gave them something far greater: understanding, family, and peace. And they had learned one truth that would stay with them forever. The greatest wealth isn't what you own, but who you become when you dare to love.